Machines are actually better than free weights for building muscle, but only for the following three things.
Ooh,
guess?
Stop it.
Yeah, no,
I don't even go in this direction.
You don't even believe
angry.
what you say. You don't even believe what you say. Right?
No, I do.
Angry.
For certain types of training, I think machines do have.
It reduces the risk, right? So there's value with that.
Right.
Very,
You
very
go harder.
Very, very small muscle groups targeting very specific muscle groups
You know,
or imbalances.
I could see
Quote unquote
that.
isolation.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I could see that.
Yeah.
You know, when you were training as a physique competitor, is that what you would use machines a lot for?
I use a lot of machines for like bringing up a lagging body part, targeting a very specific area.
Because you could really just focus on concentrating.
Yeah,
on
like
that
for
little
example,
area.
I've heard who's Dr. Mike Israetel come out and talk about like some exercises that I love using cables or machines for rear delts, for example.
Oh yeah.
And somebody might think that we would disagree on that conversation, but it's not that we disagree. It's that I think it's nuanced. I love those exercises, but I also am making sure I already checked the box.
There's a priority list.
That's
ahead
right.
of that.
There's
Yeah.
I'm doing the barbell shoulder press first and dumbbell Arnold presses well before I'm doing my bent over reverse cable fly, where I'm flying. You know what I'm saying? So, So yes, so there's a lot of I think examples, but I love those because I could just target just the rear delt and get development.
I could see that. I mean, the first thing for me that came up was if you're doing really high intensity failure style training.
Yep.
If you're trained to failure, and now a little context, bodybuilders have used failure for decades, but Arthur Jones, the inventor of Nautilus equipment, championed a style of training where it was very, very low volume, but extremely high intensity. Okay, so rather than doing at the time, doing the what was considered traditional bodybuilding training, which at the time was like 20 sets per body part. This was like during the heyday of bodybuilding, maybe the early 70s. He said, no, let's do like 1 or 2 sets, but we're going to failure and beyond. I can definitely see machines being valuable for this because of the inherent risk of going to failure with the free weight. If you go to failure on a barbell squat, as fatigue sets in and form starts to break down, especially if you're strong,
It's exposing.
very exposing and dangerous. You do failure on a leg press with your safeties, not so much. And
not only that, Sal.
pretty
So
control.
obviously that I think that's a great point. Safety. But even technique and form wise, right? Like if you everyone in here has done a close to failure squat before,
right?
And that last rep didn't look pretty.
The last 3 reps,
right. Yeah. Didn't look pretty. You probably cheated it up a little bit, shimmied left or right to get like
There's asymmetry in there.
Yeah,
There's
and even if you didn't get hurt, not ideal for developing a symmetrical balanced body, and so whereas if I was leg pressing to failure. I mean, I could keep everything perfect.
Yeah, even if you move, the platform doesn't. Or if I'm doing even a basic like chest press to failure on a machine, if I move with the barbell's moving with me. And now it's going to encourage or enhance the poor technique, right? As I shift, the bar shifts. Now it's shifting even more. I'm fatigued.
Right.
If it doesn't hurt me, I'm just doing a really bad technique exercise versus pushing a machine, it's fixed. I can't. The machine's not going to move. Even if my body moves, which is less than ideal, the machine itself isn't going to move. And now what's funny is that, again, Arthur Jones, who trained Mike Mentzer, who wrote Heavy Duty. He's the first guy to popularize this style of training. Later on influenced Dorian Yates, who won Mr. Olympia, I think 6 times in the 90s, who trained this way. He called it blood and guts. He named it something else. And there's been other iterations of this style of training. They almost always use a lot of machines. I mean, Mike Mentzer talked a lot about using machines. Again, this is in the 70s when machines weren't nearly as prolific. Dorian Yates made hammer strength equipment famous. He was the one that made hammer strength so popular, and he used them quite a bit. His favorite machines, he liked the pullover machine, then he liked to use the isolateral, row machine and that kind of stuff. And he did free weights as well. But going to failure with the machine, in my experience, especially if you're advanced, I think they have the edge to free weights in many of these cases. Now, I think most people shouldn't train to failure most of the time, but if you do and you know what you're doing, I think machines have the advantage here. The second thing that I thought of was high volume training. If you really want to push volume, free weights damage the body more. Yeah. They require more recovery. I could do probably 10 to 20% more sets with machines than I can with free weights, with the recovery being around the same.
I could see that. I mean, I would tend to add the machines after I got the compound lifts and the barbell training, just again to add volume to whatever body part specifically I'm trying to bring up. So, I mean, that makes sense. If you're going to do the whole thing, machine training, I'm sure you could do a gajillion reps.
Well, this was the point I was just making.
Yes.
Right. Like this. This point aligns with what I said, which is, of course I'm going to do the barbell shoulder press, did all this, all that. But hey, I'm between shows, trying to build up my rear delts. I've checked the box on one, but I want to add more volume. But I also recognize how taxing that can be on my CNS. And I don't need to do that to still just get some added volume. Let me go do machines that can be less damaging and less risk of overtraining.
That's right. Yeah, even if you use equivalent exercises, right? Do a seated shoulder press with dumbbells or a barbell versus a seated shoulder press with machines. You could probably get away with more sets of the machine, all things being equal, because the stability component isn't there. It's not damaging to the body in the same way. So if you like to spend a lot of time in the gym, and this, again, is why I think a lot of bodybuilders like machines. They're doing so much volume so often that they find that they respond better with machines, not necessarily because machines are better, but rather because they can handle more volume with the machines, whereas they have to cut the volume down going with free weights. I mean, think of another exercise like a row. Think of a row with free weights. Think of doing 10 sets on that versus a machine row. Think about how you're going to feel the next few days, one versus the other. It just requires less. And then lastly, and this is the main reason why machines were invented, training with injuries. Machines are so long as the right machine is used and it fits the person, because free weights have an advantage of being able to mold to the person versus the person having to mold the machine. But if the person fits the machine, it's great because the stabilization component's there, the track is already set, the arm is going to move where it's going to move. And if you have an issue with any kind of an injury, training around it or with the injury tends to be easier.
This is where I always found the most value of machines, is with my clients where there was limitations. They're recovering from surgery, injury, and you want to really make sure it's in a fixed track, in a fixed position, so that way it's stabilized everywhere else. So any variation in that, we can kind of account for that and make sure that there's not all these other variables that are going to happen that we have to stabilize. So
now, in these three scenarios, is there ever a situation in these where you see all machines? Because most all of them are an example of free weights, and then you get to this point, or it's like you don't ever see a situation where
you just avoid free weights completely.
Yes.
No, I don't think so at all. I think free weights overall have more value, generally speaking. But especially when you're talking to the advanced lifter who's been working out for a long time, who's looking to add novelty, variety, is going to be changing things up. They've developed a good squat. They developed a good deadlift and overhead press and row. And they're, they've been doing this for a year or 2 years consistently. And they're like, I'm going to experiment with high intensity, low volume training, or I'm going to go real high volume. Or, I have a little bit of this injury I want to train around. Then machines can be quite valuable, and you can find a tremendous amount of value with them. But yeah, that being said, no, I think overall, we've talked about this many times, free weights have more value overall. But again, from what I just said, I mean, I did this for a while, right? For a while there, I was experimenting with just machines, and I just found that I could do a lot more volume. I could spend more time in the gym and do more volume because it didn't require nearly as much recovery. Now, someone listening might be like, well, who cares? Okay, so you get the same results with more time. Wouldn't you rather do less time?
Not everybody.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, not
First
everybody.
off, I like spending time in the gym.
Right.
There's some value to that just from the enjoyment of it, if that's you. But also, I think there's some value in doing more volume with less damage from a novelty aspect, because I did see better gains from training that way. Now, it didn't stay with me. Of course, I had to go back and change my training up again. Mm-hmm. But for a 3-month period, I saw some great value.
It's fun. I mean, it's a totally different mindset. I just have to always check myself, because it's hard to get full range of motion with these machines. And so you do feel the difference when that doesn't translate well towards just any kind of
No.
freestanding object.
No, and you're also you're an athlete. I mean, you train.
The movement starts to suck. If you just stick with.
I
machines.
would not do a bunch of machine training for athletes. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
There's some athletes that do that. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't do a lot no matter what, because this was a mistake I made as a young lifter. I would have heard this conversation.
And use it as an excuse.
Yes, and use it as an excuse to skip squats.
Yeah.
Skip the deadlift. I would have been like, I could just do leg
Just
press.
look jacked and whatever.
And I built a decent physique. I'd say I was all right.
Did you do mostly machines back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh yeah. I mean, I really, honestly, you guys, I didn't really start. I intermittently squatted. Didn't deadlift at all. Deadlifting was like.
Was your free weights relegated to like curls, laterals, that kind of stuff, where you didn't do the big compound lifts?
I did dumbbell and barbell bench press. I never did barbell shoulder press. I did dumbbell shoulder press.
Barbell rows.
Rarely did barbell rows. Mostly.
So you train like Flex Magazine bodybuilder.
Yes,
I see.
Yeah, for a big portion, first 10 years of my lifting, and again built an all right physique, but boy, when I found barbell back squat, deadlift, bent over row, barbell shoulder, holy shit!
Yeah,
and it was such a, I trained the way I'm explaining for many years as a trainer. So I was a trainer, and I was way in the camp of form, technique, filling the muscle. That was the priority for me. So I was a stickler on form and technique and feeling and training right to failure, but not breaking form.
But with the machine.
But with machines a lot of times. And that was why I think I liked machines a lot of times, because I could have real strict, good, perfect form and really feel the muscle. From a trainer perspective, you're going to get way more value teaching your client how to do a difficult exercise like a squat. The problem is, as a trainer, is you can't tell for a little while. See, on a machine, I could put a client on a leg press who's never worked out and just see strength gains, right out the gates. Teaching them how to do a squat, sometimes it takes 2 months. To get them to just hold a barbell. Not only that, Sal, but a lot of our job too was, you felt like you needed to entertain the client.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah. And so, which is so crazy. So if you're a young trainer and you're listening to this, like if I could go back and do it all over again.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Look, I have a free guide that teaches you how to lose fat in 3 steps, just 3 steps that will burn the most amount of body fat and help keep it off. This guide is totally free. We're giving it to everybody right now. If you want it, click on the link at the top of the description below. All right, back to the show.
Now, granted, I'd have better ways to communicate it today than I probably did back then. I see more value in training almost all my clients on like 2 exercises.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And just teaching them how to master that. Knowing now, if I get a hold of for example, a family member or a close friend of mine that I actually spend the time personal training them, helping them out, they'll come see me and they may think they're going to get a workout from them. I'm like, all we're going to do today, I'm going to show you how to squat.
Yeah, we're going to work on mobility.
And then I'm going to look. Then I'm going to look at them and be like, oh yeah, you got ankle mobility stuff. Then I get them down. And we're going to work on ankle mobility. And I'm going to explain to them why their squat is breaking down for these reasons, why they need to do this. Then I show them when they elevate the heels. Look at where you're being able to get that. I would be all the whole hour would be that.
You know what's funny about what you're saying, Adam, is I trained what you just said the second half of my career, and I was my clients stayed with me longer and I did better. Yeah. Even though I thought early in my career that would bore people.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, we're just going to do 1 or 2 exercises. No, I got to show them 5 ones they've never even seen before.
What they really want is what gives them results. You have to kind of push through the mundane side of it and engage with them and educate them.
I fell into the exact trap that we teach on here all the time. The razzle dazzle, the making my clients feel like it was such a hard workout, right? Oh, totally. Sweating like crazy, burning like crazy, sore like crazy. Yeah. And so I fell into that trap of feeling like I needed to do that to make them feel like I was valuable for them to keep coming back, versus me being confident in my abilities and going no, let me tell you something. I'm going to change your life. If I teach you how to squat and deadlift and overhead press with good technique, I'm going to change your life. Yep. And it's going to be, and being able to say things, be confident enough to say things like this, it might take us a while. And, you're going to suck at it for a while. We're not going to see a lot of results at first, but let me tell you, once again, and which is so crazy because it's no different than if you got a hold of a pro golfer,
Yeah.
right, or a pro driver,
Playing any instrument.
or an instrument. Name a thing.
It's the difference between doing like a kickboxing cardio class and actually having a
Yeah,
kickboxing
or a
coach.
pro boxer.
Yeah,
name a pro at anything else that would get a hold of you and teach you to become the greatest guitarist, the greatest driver, the greatest name the thing.
They're not gonna be like just hitting the
Yeah, they would be like, all right, now this chord, now this, and then try this, and they'll throw this. It'd be like, we're gonna master the jab. That's all we're doing this month. You know what I'm saying? And they would and you'd be like, why am I doing this one thing? And you're like, listen, we got to lay that foundation, which is crazy that our trainers, we included, okay, don't do that.
Yeah.
And that's how it should, like the people that are hiring trainers and the people that are wanting to get better and really see the results, like that's it, man. Those four movements, master those. And if you're not already mastering it, take the time to become a master at it because it will pay you back so much more. Versus what I can't stand in our space, which are the trainers that feed into that, telling people, oh, the difference between a hack squat on the machine and a barbell back squat, there's not much of a difference in hypertrophy, so you should just, this idea that everybody needs a barbell back squat, silly, and we should teach like, it's not for everybody, and we should go there. It's like, no, it's such a terrible message.
It is.
Even if there's some truth, okay, to the hypertrophy component of it, there's so much more to it.
Far more to it than just that.
Yes.
Very narrow scope to look at it.
You know, I just read a study, speaking of fitness, I just read an interesting study. I'd love your guys' input on this. So the study was done. Let me get where it was done. This was done at the University of Virginia. And what they show in the study, we knew this already, but what they found, they did a systemic review and made an analysis, and they found that fitness, so your ability to perform, right? And they used cardiorespiratory fitness as a measurement. So like how fit someone is, right? That's a stronger predictor of both cardiovascular disease and all-cause mortality than BMI is. So wow. It's how fit you are is a better predictor. Now, that's not to say that BMI doesn't matter or how heavy you are, how much body fat you carry. That still matters. But your fitness level matters more if you had to compare one to the other with your all-cause mortality. In other words, it is true that you could be overweight and fit, and you will derive protective benefits from being fit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I think this is good news for people who work out and struggle with diet. Because if you don't get the diet down, it's really hard to lose weight, even with workouts, especially with no diet. Like workouts aren't going to make you lose weight. It's just very difficult. So you're trying to you're working out, you're consistent, you're going to the gym, you're getting stronger, you're more fit, you have more stamina. You can't figure out the diet, which is very common. Many of my clients figured out the fitness before they figured out the diet. In fact, that was more often than not the order.
Well, I wish this made its way to the general practitioner where they would just, be more concerned with body fat or lean muscle. How much lean muscle do you have?
That's a better.
It would be way better than BMI. It's just like, it's so silly. We use that as a standard still.
But even body fat itself, if you're fit, it makes a big difference.
That's why what Justin said is such a good point. Like, I wish we would teach that, right? Like, we should have these kind of benchmarks, like, or ranges for your height and in age or like that of like you should have or want this much muscle. Yeah. And it should be focused around that. Like, and you know what this also highlights, Sal, is that we've as a society, we are so focused on aesthetics. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We're so, and really what this highlights is that there's actually a really wide range when you talk about body fat percentage and what someone's aesthetics
body
look like.
types.
Yeah, and body types. And you could be very healthy and fit and it all, which of course, I mean, everyone in here has been this way. Like I have been in my training career, right, lifting weights and being considered a healthy person or fitness person. I've been as small as like 187 pounds to as big as 240 something, and I've been an unhealthy and a healthy version of each of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a huge,
that's a big wide range.
That's a 50-pound range, and I can tell you that I have been a sloppy 230, 240, and I've been a jack 230, like, and then the same thing on the bottom end. And so it's like,
now to be fair, you start to go really far in one direction or the other, right? Then then it starts to impact your health, right? But there is a range. Like you could be a man at 10% body fat or 18% body fat, which look very different. 10%, 18% look very different, and you could be unhealthy or healthy at either one. And this study confirms that, like, So if you're just getting started, first off, the diet is always harder to nail down than the workout. Like working out, if you go to the gym consistently 3 days a week, that's 3 hours out of your week. You can get strong, you could get fit, you could improve your stamina just doing that.
And it's protective.
But your diet is every day, all day long. That's a much harder thing to tackle. There's also a lot more it's more complicated to tackle diet. A lot more nuance, a lot more
buy-in,
emotion connected to it, and all that stuff. So, okay, you're not losing weight, but you're stronger, more fit, you're healthier. You're healthier.
I will say this, though, and this is why, again, if we say this is our single advice, just hit protein. Like,
for diet, easy first step.
Because
that and avoid processed food.
Because if one of the most frustrating things for the person who is trying to get fit, and they take heed to the advice of like, hey, I'm not going to overcomplicate the diet right now, and I'm not going to try because there is so much nuance. I'm just going to go at least lift weights, at least train, at least get in better shape. They'll get a little ways no matter what, right? Like, I mean, just moving more and lifting weights is going to make you a much healthier person than the
regardless.
Regardless, right? But you can make a dramatically more of a difference just simply by making protein a focus.
That's right.
And because that's the building blocks for muscle, you'll reach a point of ignoring the diet part and just exercising and lifting weights, where the body will basically tap, okay, we're strong, we're healthier than what we were before.
This is as far as we can go.
But as far as we can go without you like giving me more building blocks to build on or keep going. And so I really think that's always for me the go-to thing for clients. It's like, learn these 4 movements, just practice them. Try and get into, don't crush it. Don't go to failure. Just try and get good at those. Practice them in the gym frequently, 3 days a week if you can. Okay, that's it. And hit your protein intake, right? Like
and you've got like 75, 85%.
Yes.
There.
Yeah. Focus on that for a couple of years.
Yep.
Just focus on that.
You'll see results. That's
true.
100%.
Yeah. And really care mostly about just being consistent with those 2 things. Yeah. So give yourself a goal. I'm going to try and be consistent for, 20 days because I've never done that before. You hit 20 days and see how far you stretch, and you mess up at day 25. Okay, cool. Start over again. Now try and get to 26 days. And just keep trying to be consistent with those 2 things for longer and longer stretches of your life. And watch. Yep. And watch how dramatic of a difference that makes in 100%. Your health journey.
Dude, I got to tell you guys, we had Dr. Lauren in the studio, and we were talking about hormones. And I didn't realize, so I'm on TRT, and I try to optimize my hormones, through medication and lifestyle and that stuff. And part of the hormone optimization includes obviously testosterone, and then there's DHEA and thyroid, low dose thyroid. And she was talking about thyroid and how valuable it is for aesthetic change, this and that. This is all an episode we recorded with her. And then she said, you have to take it on an empty stomach and maybe distilled water, like no mineral water, and take nothing else with it. Otherwise, you don't absorb it.
I wasn't aware of that.
Never heard that.
Otherwise, you don't absorb it. Okay. Now, I kind of knew this, but I hadn't been doing it. So I was taking it with other supplements, and I was taking it with electrolyte water and that kind of stuff. So I heard her say this, and I said, I'm going to try what she said. So I did. Oh, my God. Bro, I was on fire.
Really?
On fire. It took me like 3 days to adjust to...
Yeah, the first day I remember you were a little uneasy with it, right?
It was like, I felt like, oh, my God, what's going on? Like I feel like I had extra coffee or something. But she said I wasn't absorbing. This whole time I was taking it, I wasn't absorbing the thyroid. Wow. So for anybody who takes thyroid medication as part of the hormone optimization, I think if you have thyroid deficiency, your doctor will be, explicit. But when you go through HRT, they may not make this point. You got to take it with distilled water, nothing else, empty stomach for 30 minutes.
Interesting.
Otherwise, so I was absorbing like 40% probably of it. So
it's a trap.
Suddenly I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, I had no idea.
She was also talking about too, like how most people tend to do better with a little bit higher dose than what they normally recommend too.
That's right.
So did you bump, and are you staying high?
A little. Yeah, just a little bit. I bumped it.
Wow.
It was a low dose anyway, but just a little bit. And it's not because I had that was low thyroid. It's just the whole hormone optimization panel type of deal. So I'll let you guys know what's going on with that. Anyway, I've been waiting.
Experimenting.
So we record these episodes, so I don't know what's going to happen by the time this airs, okay? So this is a risk because something might happen by the time this airs. But I've been waiting for Justin for you to come in.
Oh, bro.
To talk about the drones,
We were texting back and forth.
Oh, God, I was waiting for you guys
all weekend about this stuff.
Silly.
Oh, silly.
Bro, what do you mean silly? The government is making
everywhere.
statements on this. They are talking about this.
Yeah.
There are these crazy drones with technology that we're not familiar with.
You know how
whistleblowers come.
You know how I
try
feel.
to explain it.
What's going on somewhere else? What is really going? Because, bro, I don't know. I've seen all the videos. I've seen the video, and like nothing seems out of this world scary.
Oh, I don't think it's alien.
No, and again, it's been kind of explained a little bit more that drones wouldn't be flying at night unless they're trying to find something.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the capability to really, like, they don't have, unless they have infrared and they have all this like crazy technology where they can like see in the dark, which a lot of them aren't outfitted for that. They're honestly, like, they said that, I mean, from most of the videos I've watched, that it's most likely they're trying to hunt down and find something, which they've said that it might be a broken arrow, a loose
nuke.
warhead that they haven't accounted for.
These are like car-sized drones too. They're huge.
Yeah,
Yeah, they are huge.
And the government, local governments are like, tell us what's going on to our government. Government's like, oh, they're not ours. We don't know what they are. Trump came out and he's like, either shoot him down or tell us what's going on.
Yeah.
This is wild, dude.
How is nobody shot one down?
People have taken shots at them.
Are
Have
they?
you seen a video? Yeah,
You ain't gonna shoot down a drone with your gun, bro.
I mean, it's
you have to be the luckiest shot of all time to shoot a drone.
he didn't get close.
With
It was
your
kind
rifle
of comical to watch. but-
Yeah.
I mean, drones are so popular now.
yeah.
Oh no,
that-
these are not. These are not.
Well, these
drones
are
you buy.
military grade, right?
Yeah.
So again,
I mean, but
so they have jamming. They have jamming technology. This
Yeah.
is what people are like. They think it's alien. No, we have jamming technology already exists.
They
Like,
were people are flying their drones close to them to see, and then they'll turn them off and then crash
Yeah.
to the ground.
They're like,
So
oh,
you can't get near it.
aliens.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? I
Yeah.
haven't seen that. That's
Now,
interesting.
here's why
'Cause
I
that's why I'm like, how is some random person not flown a drone or
No,
flown something close
they
by?
They tried to fly their drones towards it, and then they
get
shut them down.
Yeah, they get shut down. Here's why I don't think it's aliens. Because if it's
I definitely don't think it's
if it's an
aliens.
alien, first of all, I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think
Definitely
that
don't
anyway.
think
It's
aliens.
too
But
convenient.
here's why I wouldn't think it's aliens. Many of them have these FAA compliant like lights, that they put on
they
airline.
blink a
Yeah.
very specific way.
Yeah,
for-
dude.
yeah.
But
So,
the story,
so nice of the aliens to follow our traffic
Yeah,
laws.
yeah,
Traffic
exactly.
laws.
but hey, you know what? This is
It's
scary
real
though. So
responsible
the
of them.
story is that there's a loose nuke that was lost out of Ukraine. It's an escalation of the war, and that they're afraid of a dirty bomb or nuke going off, and so these are gamma detecting or radiation detecting drones, and they are trying to find
Yeah.
where it is and flying these things over
Sketchy.
areas.
Yeah. And heavily in New Jersey and then in New York. and-
Yeah.
I mean, there's been reports
San
of them-
Jose.
Yeah. Like
I
even
saw in San Jose.
down like San Diego.
Well,
there's-
now
but-
here's the thing,
But this
though.
is like,
Here's the thing: when you have stuff like this happening and it
Yeah,
starts
now
to spread,
everybody-
now
Copycats.
everybody's gonna see something, right?
Yeah, it's like when you buy that off yellow car that nobody has, and also you're like, fuck, everybody has one. That's how I feel. Like drones are everywhere. So I feel like now we see one weird
know.
drone or something.
remember
Now
when
we see,
Teslas first came out? Now they're
Yes.
literally everywhere.
Yeah.
yeah, that's kind of how I feel about drones.
But these ones over New Jersey and some of the eastern seaboard, like these ones are legit. Like you're seeing like a lot
Big-
of them go up.
yeah, big
They're shutting down
military-grade ones.
airports as a result. I forgot which airport it was, but they had to ground all their planes because there were so many drones flying over.
I mean, that's how this all started?
one
Was
got
one
caught
flew
in a
into a
plane.
motor, flew into a jet engine?
No, that's a report. I don't know if that
That
actually
was
happened.
there's speculation on that. I know Alex Jones jumped on that one, but it was reported that it was a bird that like went into the engine, which does happen.
No,
Yeah.
what's most likely
I don't know.
the deal is that either it's the whole psyop thing, and then people roll their eyes psyop. If you live through COVID,
What else do you call like the last couple years?
like
dude?
and it came out that it was out of a lab, that it was leaked out. That it was a man-made virus. That's what they're
Okay,
saying now.
mass gaslighting.
By the
How
way,
about
did you see that they said that January 6th had like 20-something federal agents in there?
Yes.
Instigating it. That got released.
Thank you. Yeah.
So
That's
Did you see?
fact.
Did you guys see Stephen A. Smith?
DOJ.
Yeah.
Like,
Stephen A.
posted
Smith
that.
came out on, which has been
So
he lit the left up
I
hard.
know.
He's like a well-known hard left-leaning guy for
I
a
know.
long
yeah,
time.
so my friends were like, oh, so traumatized by it. Like, and it's I was trying like, okay, but also like
I said from the
this
jump.
has happened before. The agent provocateurs are a real thing.
Yep.
And
They psyop us
it's just like
for sure.
I mean, come on, this has happened in history. You don't think it's going to repeat
So
itself?
it's either a psyop or there is a threat, and they are searching for something to make sure that something doesn't happen.
That's such a crazy,
and this is technology that we don't.
That's such a crazy leap to go to. We're looking for a missing nuke. What the fuck? How did that?
Oh, because there were people who work in this technology who are reporting and saying they have the capabilities to find radioactive material, and that's what they think is happening. So that's
where, it was speculation. Yeah,
it's speculation.
Yeah, that's because I felt if something like that, right?
There was a whistleblower on Reddit that.
But here, I mean, let's
which is all my source. Source. Yeah. Reddit, dude.
Yeah.
Bro. Okay,
suck it. They've been right.
Let's unpack what we know.
Conspiracy theorists are so right lately. Though, you know what I mean?
I know. That's why some of this stuff becomes
funny,
believable now. It's like they're batting 100 the last 3 years or whatever. But let's unpack some of this. Okay, the things we do know. These are drones, military grade, right?
Yep.
We know this, right? There's lots of them over lots of different states now. As far as
the vast majority, though, are over Eastern, like New Jersey and DC.
But I'm seeing San Jose. I've heard Texas. I've heard the Middle East. I've all over the country. They're popping up.
There was a lot of reports coming in.
Yeah, and I'm seeing videos. I've seen the videos on them. So, okay, if a nuke went missing, at one point we knew where it was.
That's why I think most of them are in New Jersey. There's a port there. Mm-hmm. That's why I think most of them are there, is because that's where they think it is.
Yeah, because that to me that feels like it would be concentrated all in one area because we wouldn't be like, oh, it could be in California. It's like, whoa, wait a second, we went missing just 2 nights ago, and now all of a sudden it's there.
I think that they think they know where it's at, and then what happens with all the hype is that now people are out with their phones and catching all kinds of weird stuff. And now we're just posting videos, and
they're just flying their own drones and like, whoa, look at this.
Yeah. Hey, for the first time ever, you can buy the gift of muscle building, the gift of fat loss, the gift of health. For the first time, get a MAPS program for a friend or family member for the holidays. Just click here. Actually, there's a lot of videos that are like AI generated now, people to get views. So there was one there was one where it's like this guy was shooting at it, and you could see his tracer bullet, and then Dude, X is so good with the
AI videos are getting so good.
I know.
I mean, and you know what? I know they're AI. I still get sucked into watching them. I like them. Is that weird?
Yeah.
Like
weird.
I'm watching something. Yeah. I know it's been altered by AI, but I'm so curious to see what they do.
I still love those the architecture, the houses and stuff that they come up with.
Tricked on those all the time.
So
cool.
You know which ones I
like? Ooh, this place is awesome.
My favorite that's popular, and I don't know if you guys, because we have different stuff we follow, but it's super popular in the sports world. To have like a coach or a player who's talking shit about other coaches.
Oh, it's not real?
Yeah, and it's not real.
Like the press conference, I've seen that a couple times with Shanahan, and he's like talking trash.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be talking trash.
Did he say that?
Yeah, Debo's a little bitch. And, and you're like, whoa, he said that. You can't help but you do that. You're like, no, he didn't say that. That's all AI.
Funny.
Yeah. So those ones that got me sucked in big time.
Crazy. All right, so I wanted to cover one of our sponsors. They have a product they wanted us to talk about, and I looked at the ingredients, and it's legit. This isn't one that any of us use because it's targeted. It's just for women. But Organifi has a product called Harmony that helps with hormonal imbalances or PMS symptoms. And I looked at the ingredients, and they're legit.
How does a supplement do that?
So there are traditional supplements in there like chasteberry that have been shown to reduce some of the more sensitive types of estrogen, for example, or how your body reacts to certain hormones. These are all compounds. Doug, if you could pull it up for me, that would be helpful. There are compounds in there that have been used traditionally to help women with PMS symptoms like cramping, with sleep issues.
It looks like a lot of herbs in there, yeah?
Yes.
So what would it be things that like lower inflammation or like what are these things?
Inflammation and help change the type of estrogen from a more reactive to a less reactive type.
An herb can do that to a hormone?
Oh, fact.
Oh,
chasteberry's been used for a long time. Oh yeah, functional medicine practitioner will use that oftentimes with women. And so maca's in there. It's good for libido.
Cacao.
There's chast tree berry, stinging nettle. So these are all they've been used for some of them for hundreds of years. So I was looking at Organifi does such a good job.
Yeah.
So again, I don't have obviously we don't have experience.
Because Drew's a hippie.
Yeah, I know. But there's a lot. We have a lot of female callers that sometimes will call in and talk about some of these symptoms, and they're young. It's like, okay, I don't go on, hormone replacement therapy, or maybe not even young. They're just like, hormones are balanced, but I have these symptoms. This might be a good first place to kind of start.
Is it something you make like a tea? Is that kind of like what you would do?
No, you mix it with water. It tastes good.
Oh, just
Yeah, I
straight.
tried a
Does
little
this help angry dudes
bit. Maybe, dude.
with the experiment?
No, why do you need something for you?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
A little something to take the edge
There's
off.
one person here most likely.
Ah,
that exhibits symptoms of-
I was waiting
alluding
for
to.
it, prick. I was waiting for it right there.
yeah, dude.
Go ahead. I have not. When was the last time you guys called me moody? When was the last time I'm moody?
It's
Wow.
been a while.
Maybe I've been a little moody with Doug lately.
Yeah.
It's been, I've been snapping at
Look at
Doug.
Doug over there.
Yeah,
shaking his head.
It's like,
snapping at
Doug's
Doug
like, I'm
lately.
tired of his shit.
Yeah.
I feel like Doug shows nothing until it's too late, so you got to be careful.
Oh yeah, Doug's a ticking time bomb.
Oh,
dude.
yeah, bro.
yeah. Quiet.
He's gonna
You
jump
know,
over
just
the
really
desk and stab you. You have to-
Ah!
Yeah, dude.
Calm the fuck down.
Don't do it,
Doug.
Doug. Tell me before, please.
Yeah,
Oh,
anyway,
my
we need to
God.
film it.
Was there a tornado that came down,
Bro.
In
Yes,
This
my
guy's neighborhood.
backyard.
wait, literally?
I mean, not literally my
okay, I
backyard,
was
but like
Jesus Christ.
Scotts Valley, which
That's like your backyard.
yeah, it was right there. My
Tornadoes
son,
don't happen here. What's happening?
Bro,
my son had
flip-
like a mock
bro,
meet
it
for
flipped
gymnastics and
cars.
right there. Yeah, there was like again, and you heard more. I heard
Yeah.
7 that were flipped, but it just came literally out of nowhere. Like there was rain and there was a storm, but it was like totally mild storm. And then all of a sudden, I guess all of the factors were just perfect because you had wind coming from this direction, wind coming from this direction, different temperatures, and then they just combined. And then you saw it literally just start to form. And I saw it all via video. It was 5-10 minutes, I think.
Nobody
I
got
went
hurt?
through and I was home. Courtney was at this Mexican restaurant, which was like down the street. So she was just far enough away from it, but they could all see it. And originally in her video, which she took, it was like you saw all these birds just all of a sudden, they were trying to find somewhere to land and they couldn't. Then you saw them all circling like,
The birds got caught in it? Oh, no, that sucks.
and then it like coned and made into like a tornado, and you saw it like just bulldoze through this tree and just like mangle it, and then I guess it lifted a tree up, like this huge tree, and like slammed it into the junior high. And so I saw all the aftermath of this as I like drove by later, but dude, it was so random and crazy, and it's like, what the hell? Like, this isn't Kansas or
When's it-
wherever, Tornado Alley, Oklahoma.
How often do tornadoes happen in California? I know there. I mean,
It's
I've
been
never
like
heard of
5 in the last. I looked this up because I was
100 years,
curious.
right?
Yeah, in the last 100 years.
one. Okay, so it's possible, it's just rare.
They don't report it because it's so rare. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we felt the winds all the way out in Morgan Hill. This is the first year. I'm so glad I did this. I don't know why I did too. I was just like, you know what? I probably should strap down all of our Christmas stuff.
Oh,
So I actually like staked it all in this year.
thank God.
Yeah, and it was all ripped
Bro,
up. Yeah, it was
we
all
have,
ripped up. That
We have
day.
a trampoline in the back. And
yeah.
A trampoline is like a big sail
yeah,
in the
it's-
wind.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like a big
And
umbrella.
and my wife,
Would have taken mine off. dude.
yeah, we had our handyman kind of stake it down, but they're like little stakes or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. So I took a couple 100-pound dumbbells and put them on the
Oh,
legs.
smart.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Because that thing was.
Yeah, because I have those stakes that you're talking about, and it ripped those suckers right
Dude.
up. Luckily, there was still. I had so many staked that it like some were kind of hanging on still, and I went back out and restaked them. But
Yeah, we personally knew. So this guy, Courtney's friend, like they had their car parked in that Target parking lot. Is where it got hit the most, and somebody's car lifted up and it threw it into their truck.
what?
And so their truck got all smashed up, and it was just like, how do you expect, like, all of a sudden, like, you're going to see cars lifted
Not
in
in
the air and, like,
California.
slammed at you?
That's
It's
crazy.
so gnarly,
Did you guys
dude.
see the lightning?
No, I
Oh,
didn't
it woke
see
me
lightning.
up in the morning.
Who was telling
It was
me? Oh,
loud,
Nancy.
though. I heard
My
the
designer was
loud
telling me that.
thunder.
She said it scared the crap out of her.
You know,
Woke her up.
Yeah.
East Coast and Midwest people right now are like rolling their eyes.
Oh, I know.
yeah.
We saw
yeah,
lightning,
yeah.
everybody.
Hey,
I mean, I saw it a bunch of
When
times. When
I
I was in the Midwest, I seen a bunch of tornadoes and all
Yeah,
that.
when we lived in Colorado,
here.
I watched. We lived in Divide, which is really I forget what the elevation was. It's right behind Pikes Peak is like in the backyard, and the thunderstorms were like nothing I've ever seen. So I don't know where else in the country it's crazy like this, but I mean I watched lightning strike the ground like
Yeah.
yards away from me.
Whoa.
Like, oh yeah, and we're standing in our garage. Everybody's house has lightning rods. Like that's part of what you do. You put if you're so close, it's striking all the time.
We had to call practice a few times because of that. Yeah, you'd
And
see it come in.
It's a trip because there's a delay right between the thunder and the lightning right there. Unless
It's right next to
it's
you.
right next to it. So it's like that's a weird difference. Here in California, we're used to like you see something and then you hear like
You wait.
you hear the delay and then you hear the
Yeah.
But when it's like on you, there's no delay. It's like the same time you're hearing it, you're feeling it, you're seeing it all at once. It'll scare
We had
the
like
shit out of you.
2 or 3 practices that were just so memorable because we were in our just helmets and shorts and t-shirt because we're just running through like a Friday before the game on Saturday and running drills. And all of a sudden, it was just sunny. Everything was kind of temperate, like weather-wise. And then all of a sudden, just out of nowhere, this storm comes in, and it's like right from Canada. And it's like all the ice and snow and just like pelting us. And of course, was a coach make us do? We stay out extra long.
Of course. It's football. Yeah, it's football.
Football never stops, bro.
Like I seriously was like blue, dude.
Bro, hey, speaking of football, did you see the 2 Texas fans that got thrown in jail this weekend?
No.
Oh yeah. So obviously this is delayed a little bit. So this is like 2 weeks ago for the listener. There was 2 students, I think a 19-year-old and a 20-year-old. I don't know if they're students anymore, but there was a big Texas and I forget who game. It was a big game, right? Big college football game. And I guess they had been doing this consistently. And they just got caught, but they dress up as construction workers. And they would
just get in?
They had like fake IDs and everything like that to get. And I guess it worked a bunch of times, but this time they got finally caught. And the best part about it was that their names were. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget because I died laughing because it was in the report because they got.
They made it fake.
Oh, they had
stupid names.
Oh, dude, they had
Seymour Butts?
yes. It was they were. So the fact that these guys had been getting away with this for some time. Yeah, one was Harry Ascrack, and the other one was,
course it was.
Duncan McCockiner. were the 2 names of these
These guys are amazing. That's something I would
Bro, I've been meaning to bring this on the podcast. Do you guys remember that one report where it was like a plane from Thailand that was coming in, or like Vietnam or something?
No.
It was
It's
like,
a bunch of racist.
dude, it was like Bang Ding Ow and like Holy Fook.
No.
It was
a real
read
news
on the
report.
news.
And they didn't figure it out until they get like after 7 names. You could tell they're like, oh crap.
I cried laughing because I
Yeah.
saw that live, and then like I shared it to like everybody knew, and it was like
remember
it was just the best prank of all time.
Oh
Like,
my God.
that guy's a hero.
I died with these kids. I was like, dude, these guys are champions.
Dude, you can literally, I've never done this, but I think I heard someone say this and I think it's true. You could, if you and your buddy are carrying a ladder
trick, bro.
you can get in anywhere.
Yeah, that's like get in the movies, get into stuff like
You
that.
just walk in with a ladder and they're like, oh, you're working, obviously you're working.
Yeah.
yeah,
Especially if
you
you dress
get a
the part.
walkie-talkie. That's even better. Like,
Yeah, because nobody wants to stop you.
Nobody
You
wants
know
to
what's
get in
funny,
your way.
by the way, is that if you could do, this is terrible advice, but you could do this in most gyms. You could walk into a gym.
you can
and
do this
just
again in the White House.
you just
let's be
walk
honest.
in.
Like,
If you
they've
walk
done
into,
that, dude.
you walk
you
into
can
a
take
gym
a shot
confidently.
you can take a shot at the president if you have a
Oh my
ladder.
God, that's terrible.
I mean, let's be honest.
It's like
No.
I mean, that of all the places that we should have high security and a ladder shouldn't get by.
Because
so
you had a ladder.
ridiculous. You're absolutely.
He had a
So
ladder
of
to
course
go.
you're gonna get in a game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you had a ladder.
No,
dude.
but a gym,
He has a
seriously,
hunting license.
most
It's fine.
gyms, if you just walk through, they won't even say anything. I used to have my front desk. I'd be like, "Did you not just check that person's card and have to run after them?"
Yeah.
because they're intimidated, especially if the person just walks right by.
I mean, I was gonna say sometimes if you just do that, like you just act like you're supposed to be there.
I know.
You know,
We give such terrible
it's so
advice
bad.
right
I
now.
saw another, speaking of school and kids and stuff that this kid, I just saw this too. I don't know, I didn't hear how bad he got hurt or not, but it was a graduation, and they call your name and you walk up and do your thing, and afterwards this kid, grabs his thing and then he does a backflip. He does a backflip, lands on his fucking head.
Of course,
It was like
in front
out.
of everybody.
Yes, dude. I went, oh my God, I saw that.
He's like, "This will be cool."
Yeah.
Boom, remembered forever.
Yeah.
You're like the kid who
Everybody's
pooped
just like,
himself.
wow.
3rd grade. Dude.
Oh,
That's it. Everybody knows. Hey, it was great. It was great seeing you. I missed Justin and Doug weren't there because they were sinful.
Yeah.
It was nice to see Adam and the rest of the team
I
at
spent
church
a
on.
lot of time there, dude.
yeah.
I got a lot of stripes.
I already earned my
No,
stripes.
Adam came with his family. He brought his mom. It was great to see you and your mom, and the rest of the team was at the church.
I had FOMO for sure.
It was great, man.
We had quite a few. We had quite a few people that were with us. My mom was so happy. My mom,
Bro, when she hugged me, did you hear?
My mom cried for like an hour.
Did she?
Yeah, my mom
She
was
whispered
so
in my
funny.
ear when she hugged me. Did I tell you?
Yeah. You know what I always tell my mom? I always tell her, yeah, what'd she tell you? Like, oh, thanks for getting my son.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh,
she did.
He's such
You know what I always
he's
tell her?
such a degenerate.
I tell my mom all
No,
the
that's
time.
not what she's.
I tell my mom, I said, I'm already saved, Mom. Why are you gonna press so hard?
My mom worries too. It's the same.
Yeah,
It's
go
like,
save somebody else.
No.
I'm already saved. Relax. Calm down.
No, but she
She
was
say shit sometimes.
she was happy and sweet. It was cute to see Max there. He's such a sweet kid. He
He's
did what
funny.
Aurelius did for a long time.
Yes.
Yeah, because the music.
You know, it's so
So my
funny.
son now loves it, but
Yeah.
initially he didn't like the music.
Yeah,
it was
I mean,
loud.
Yeah, he was fine still because he was like. But my son's so funny with stuff like that because if I play his music, I can play
Exactly.
it full
Exactly.
as loud as I want. That's just him. I don't want to be here, and I know this works. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? That's
so funny.
Yeah,
He's
no,
such a
he's
Schaefer,
yeah,
dude.
he's smart. He's
Where's he
smart.
get that from?
Yeah, he's smart. You know what he's doing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's just
he's like his
hey.
dad.
And I just like a calm down guy. I said, don't worry, we'll go get a treat afterwards.
Did
know
you
what
say
I'm
that
saying?
too?
Yeah. I told my son,
Oh yeah.
take him to get a donut afterwards, and he's like, a donut.
My kids did great, bro. Because I'd say 9 out of 10 times we have to leave after the music. Like they like the music, they'll stay for the music. Once the sermon starts, we just started using the iPad. That gives us an extra 10 minutes. And then things get squirrely, and then we got to take them out. But they stayed for most of it.
It was so funny that you had that because as we were pulling
Everett
up,
loves
we
it.
were talking about because we brought him like a coloring book and things like that, and we were driving and we're just like it's been a while since I've been in church. I'm like I don't know are churches iPad friendly or is that like you're not supposed
I think
to
they
do
want your kid not to screen friendly.
yeah.
So I think they're okay
Yeah,
with it.
so we literally right before we walked in, we were joking about how we're like, oh, that's probably that's not okay. You can't have him on that. And then you had like the
Better
iPad
than me
saved
drawing on the
spots of-
bulletin. You know.
We do because for now since we've been going for the last year, my wife, she tries everything. She's got books and coloring books and activities. She'll lay them out on the floor. We sit in the very front so we have space.
Yeah.
She sits on the floor with them and just nothing. Every single time we got to take them out and it's stressful. But we keep going mainly because we love the worship music. We can hear some of the sermons sometimes, but it's the people. We meet the people, we build community there. We've got some great friends there. Yeah. But finally she was just like, all right, let's use the iPad. Let's break out the big guns. And it's not 100%, but we made it through like 2/3. Which was like a record, and then and I had to take my daughter out. I took her out. And, hung out in the,
Well,
in
they
the
have
lobby.
like the hallways, and they have it set up pretty nice where you can kind of make it work.
Yeah.
Max was like, this is sad music.
Oh, at one point when they played.
Yeah.
Well, they had the fun music, and they played like a solo.
Yeah.
And I hear him in the back, and he's like, "This is sad." This kid's so cute. Dude. I want to squeeze his
Oh,
shit
he's
out.
too much, dude.
He's a good time.
he's
Kids
too
are fun, man.
Yeah,
They'll say things, and you're just like, "Where do you get that from?"
Yeah, unfiltered. I love
Oh,
it.
it's a good
Yeah,
time.
I know, he's
Hey,
hilarious.
I wanted to say something about Butcher Box's ground beef. I want to bring this up before I forget. I like grass-fed meat typically tastes not as good as grain-fed. That's just 100%. Grass-fed's healthier, but I prefer, on all accounts, grass-fed ground beef because of the fat content. It tastes great.
100% agree.
It tastes great. Actually, I like the taste better because it doesn't taste as like greasy, and it gets way easier on my stomach. And I've been meaning to bring this up because we eat a lot of this, especially with my kids. We mix ground beef with a little taco seasoning, salt, and rice, and that's like a staple meal for them. And I'll eat some of it too. And I way prefer the grass-fed version of
So
it.
that's funny. If I am cooking a steak, like a ribeye or something like that, the grain-fed, fattier steaks, they do taste better. But at ground beef, I'm with you on that. So like we do,
It feels better,
We do
too.
Taco Tuesday, right? That's like always at our house, Taco Tuesday, and I love when we have the ground beef from Butcher Box because that leaner meat sits so much better in my stomach. If I have the tacos with the regular ground beef, they're soft. They get the grease and the fat
Exactly.
sit on the taco. I have a couple of those tacos, and my stomach is upset from that.
Exactly.
So I do the ground beef. I prefer to be on the leaner end for sure. Whereas with the meat cuts, I like the.
And then it's
fatty
just, I always remember this like as a cost-effective, like healthy meal that's high protein. with some carbs, and you can have a side of vegetables with it. Ground beef and rice. Throw some salsa on it. A little bit of taco seasoning, salt. You can add.
You gotta have that as your staple foundational.
That's such an easy meal.
Yeah, it's just ready to go.
Easy meal, healthy, tastes good.
And we brought it up the last time we talked about Butcher Box, and I actually had never really counted or paid attention. I didn't realize what a difference how higher protein it was.
Yeah.
So you talk about someone who's
it's
trying
leaner.
Someone who's trying to if you're going to eat 8 ounces of ground beef, that is
90-something% lean, fat or lean or whatever.
Yeah.
It's more protein.
Yeah, you're talking about 10, 15 more grams of protein in a serving like that. That's a big difference.
Totally. Totally. I gotta tell you guys about an incredibly emasculating experience I had over the weekend.
Ooh, I can't wait.
It's something we've all experienced before, but it's just, for some reason, it's extreme. First of all, it's really frustrating, but it's also emasculating. And I just did it again, and I'm so mad that I did it again. I scratched my rims.
Oh, the new ones?
Yes,
the new
dude.
car? Oh.
Yes, bro. Not bad.
Where were you at?
But a little bit.
You know what I hate, bro? Starbucks.
Yes.
It was in Starbucks?
Yes.
It's because the way they make those turns, bro.
They make it for
in the drive,
drive-through. What kind of car is supposed
I
to fit
won't
in
even.
there?
Listen.
A bicycle?
I won't even go through the drive-through if I'm driving one of my cars. I really care.
Yeah,
about.
that's
never
it.
do drive-through,
I won't. I literally.
How do you go through that without?
There can be no line
my truck
in the drive-through.
Yeah, dude.
And if depending on what car I'm in, I park that shit. I get out and go because I have curbed it enough times in those driveways.
And I hear the sound. It was very minor. I heard and immediately I'm just like, oh,
bro, they have that. They have like that hairpin sharp turn, and then on top of that, the curb is you can't really.
It's so low that you don't pick it up on anything.
And it just. I mean, look at it. It looks like everybody. It gets hit probably 15 times.
I was so mad. I look at it. It breaks my heart, and then I'm embarrassed about it,
dude.
So I told you guys the last time I did that, I bring it into the dealership, and they can polish it out. Looks good, but still, my wife, she knows. She looks at me and she goes, "Just tell him I did it, honey." I'm like, "Thanks."
Oh, no.
It's embarrassing.
I'll fall on the sword.
Yeah, thanks, babe. I appreciate you.
Dude.
You know what I mean? Oh, my wife did the ribs again. And the guys in there know. Yeah, right, bro. We've all done that shit. Oh, it's so annoying,
Dude,
man.
that is annoying.
Oh, I want to rip whatever remains of my hair out of my head.
Speaking of cars, did you guys see the thing with the EPA? So EPA giving the government the green light by 2035 to be able, in California, to ban gas cars.
No way.
Yeah, look it up.
They gave them the right, but are they going to?
Bro, it's California.
Yeah, but that's,
look up
it will destroy California.
Government, California.
How much longer?
Here's a few reasons why I don't think it'll happen. Why I think it's a bunch of posturing to make it look like we're so whatever. We don't have the energy grid for it.
We're so dumb.
Period. End of story. We get blackouts with our current situation. Now you're going to get everything on the electric grid. That's not going to happen unless they overhaul.
They don't
the whole
have the
thing.
infrastructure to support it.
Not at all. The taxes. California's gas is some of the most expensive in America because of the taxes. Where are they going to get that tax revenue from?
Yeah.
If they eliminate gas, it's not going to happen. And then number 3, look at all the gas cars. They're going to force people to switch out their
for what? Because you're assuming that this is better for the environment, and then when you actually look into it, it's like not even the case. So what is your case?
It's just it's a posturing. It's a bunch of it won't happen. I don't think it will.
Did you find it, Doug?
I did.
Yeah.
I got to find an article I can actually pull up without having to pay for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I hate that.
That's how they get you. That's how they get you those taxes.
But how would Biden administration expected to offer a waiver to ban? Yeah, I mean that doesn't mean it's going to happen. I don't think it'll happen. The market has to support it. People have to choose it, and then we have to have the grid to support it. Imagine the blackouts that would happen. We get blackouts now.
I know
because it's a little hot.
Yeah. Yeah, or PG&E's just like, I
mean, a lot of these. I know a lot of these car companies have gone back on what they originally said because there's a lot of them that came out a couple of years ago when we first reported on it that they were all by 2025 going to be fully electric.
Toyota fully backed out.
Yeah,
I mean that should be a signal right there.
Yeah. More and more cars, but then you still see. I mean, I don't know. It's interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see where cars.
Here's where I think we'll go fully electric. Yeah. I think it'll go fully electric when self-driving cars become the norm. That's when it makes sense because then the self-driving cars, either most people won't own cars, I don't think. I think it'll become services on an app and they'll go plug themselves in. You'll go on your phone, it'll pick you up and take you because it'll be cost effective. It'll be cheaper for the consumer to have that. Now, some people own cars, but I think most people aren't.
You think it'll be like horses?
Yeah. I think most people won't own cars in the future because it'll be so much cheaper and cost effective to go on your app and have the car come pick you
The
up.
only reason why I don't debate that is because I obviously didn't grow up in a time when all we had was horses, and then horses were on their way out with wagons and then cars. And like, I wonder what people probably. I'm sure there was people that were riding horses like, this is ridiculous. We're never not going to have horses or not ride horses.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure they said that. But God, what is sad. I don't know.
Yeah.
That'd be so sad to me.
I know.
So
But
sad.
I think it would be so cost effective because you won't have to pay for the insurance. You won't have to pay for the upkeep. You'll literally pay for a service. And there'll be varying degrees of services from luxury to convenience. Your kids can get picked up and dropped off.
But now you're supporting conflict minerals.
What? Sorry. What did you call them? Conflict minerals.
Conflict minerals.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, you know how you sell me is like it eliminates traffic.
Oh, for sure.
That is the selling point.
For sure.
That's the selling point.
Yeah,
Well,
the
especially in LA.
The environment bullshit lies. That ain't selling me on that.
No,
like,
you could move me in that direction, to get a bunch of people off the road.
Well, you'll have a bunch of cars that'll communicate with each other.
Yeah,
So
that's why
you ever stick in
Everybody
traffic?
run at the same speed.
Yes. Have you ever sat in traffic as a kid? I remember thinking as a kid, I was like, why don't we just all move at the same time as a kid,
yeah.
And that's what'll happen.
There's always two people just like this that don't realize there's a fast lane.
Yeah.
Can we go back and re-educate people? What a
Re-education
fast
camps.
lane is?
Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the part that I think that's the part that'll be interesting because I mean, think about it. I mean, most of us have to commute into work, and when you come in at work hours, you're adding 20 minutes to your day.
You
20
could
minutes,
also work in the car.
right?
Yeah.
You could have an office car pick you up.
That's a
where
huge-
in the cars.
But even then, so at least this is how I envision my life is. I 100% adopt because I already have like the car that I don't care about. It's my commuter car that I trashed and I beat up. That's my getting back. So I don't mind that. If I had an automated or a driver and like, okay, cool. But I still would want recreationally. I still would want my cars, like a car that I go.
You'd have to drive it on a track.
See, that would piss me off. Yeah, I don't want that. I can't imagine that. Or else it's
I
like
feel like freeways would be like. I mean, that's sensible if you get everybody sort of like automated and it's all.
What if
in line, but then all the side roads?
It might be like a phase out. You know what I mean? It might be like the first 3 lanes are AI
That's exactly
self-driving cars,
Yeah,
and there's
yeah,
one
yeah,
lane for
yeah.
everybody that
The
wants
commuter
to
lanes of like
that's how they would
vehicles.
do it. That's how they would do it. And the way they would convert everybody is those 3 lanes that are automated
Are better and
are
faster.
way better and faster, and you get to work. Like so, that would be the selling point, right? Even my stubborn ass who wants to drive. If I'm sitting in my gas-powered car in traffic, trying to get to work, which is only 5 minutes away,
Everybody's zipping by you.
and they're zipping by, like, okay, I'm cashed, I'm buying one, I'm going in, or whatever.
By the speaking of zipping by, how many times I drive by Adam on the way to work in the carpool lane while he's waiting, and I'm by myself in my car.
I feel like I already used my get out of free jail card. That's why the one cop that let me off for the fact that
He always calls me. He calls me on the phone. Is that you in the carpool lane? Yeah, I'll see you at work
dude.
later, bro.
I feel like that one
You ever
time, the
blow up
fact that I
dummy,
was
passenger?
watching TV, the plates, the tinted windows, the commuter lane, and the cop was cool, was like, let me go.
You don't wanna push your-
yeah, I'm like, because what an asshole I am if the same guy gets me again. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Doing the same bullshit. Like that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I
I kind of deserve a
So
ticket.
now I'm gonna
Get
talk
forgiven
about it.
again?
We have winners, right, for the Park
Oh,
City
yes.
Yeah,
Park
maybe-
City winners.
Yeah,
Yes,
let's pull
we do.
Let's pull those up.
By
Doug.
the way, okay, the
it's
audience,
disconnected here, Doug,
why,
for
why
your show.
Doug's pulling it up on the TV that doesn't work. We had, originally it was supposed to be just 200. We had such a great, incredible,
So we were originally going to give away 2 winners,
yes,
but we had such a great response, we added a 3rd one.
yes.
So 3 people
In Christmas spirit.
win a 5-day vacation
Yep.
at the Mind Pump Park City House. Now, for a recap, we did this giveaway where you got entries if you bought a new program, if you bought a bundle. There were more entries if you got bundle versus just a program, this, that, and the other. So we have 3 people who won, and these are the people. So if you hear your name, you win. The first one is this is their Instagram handles. Is that what
These
that
are
is?
their Instagram handles.
Can you read them off for me, Doug?
Yeah, Elena.reese.arroyo. The next one is Jillian R. Fit. And the third one is Kevin_Bates07. They've all been contacted already, but this is just for...
They're-
They won.
No, yeah, we have to give it publicly because I don't know about
real
anybody
people.
else. I'm sure people that are listening, By the way, too, we didn't talk about this. And
We're not related to any of them.
Why we're in the giving mood, and we're talking about giving.
At Sal DeStefano. At Justin Edges. Wow.
Don't you guys? I feel the giveaway things like that. I'm always so skeptical.
They're fake half the time,
I feel like they got to be fake.
No, these are real.
These are real people. You can look them up, ask them if they want, find out. But anyways, this puts me in a gratitude place. I don't know if you guys really wrapped your little brains around the Spotify rap that happened. Yeah. And how crazy that kind of is. Yeah. I've been telling like my family and friends.
Yeah, I have a big brain.
Yeah, big brain. So I don't think you guys understand. We did that rap, right? Where at the end of the year, Spotify does all the top listens, whatever like that. 40,000, over 40,000 people. We were the number one thing in their ears for the entire year.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
It's an army.
40,000 plus. Over 170,000 people had us as their top 10. My top 10 for my Spotify rap, not even a single podcast was in that.
No, I know. Same.
It was music.
Yeah, it was music because I listen to music mostly. And then I listen to a lot of podcasts I like and things like that.
Yeah.
So to think that for over 40,000 people, you guys, that's more than the Warriors Arena, of people.
No, it's insane.
Like, didn't just listen to you.
That's crazy.
They listened to you more than anything else they listened to. And, to add more craziness to this, Spotify represents less than 25% of our audience.
Yeah. So
we're much bigger on iTunes, and we also have the YouTube, so it doesn't include that.
That's right.
So just Spotify had 40,000 plus people that you were the number one thing they listened to for the entire year.
Of us, yeah.
Yeah, the entire, that's crazy.
You know what's cool about that is
super grateful
when
for that.
the drone wars start, we could just tell these 40,000, let's get together.
That's what I'm saying, Sal.
Band
defend
together.
ourselves.
Let's,
so this is a big thank you. Thank you to all the people that have supported this business and supported us this entire time. It's very humbling to see that. And that's really, really cool. Makes us feel good. Sometimes it's hard to really fathom that because we sit in this little box and talk to into a
the
mic,
space.
And we don't actually see these people. But when you see numbers like that, and then you understand what it fills up a basketball or a football arena, and think, "Holy crap!" And then to think when I see my own numbers of the things that I listen to, and go, I would consider myself a fan of many like podcasts that I like, and think but none of them even cracked my top 10 things that I listen to, and so to think that we did that for 170,000 people and then did it, the number one thing for 40,000 people.
That's awesome.
That's pretty wild.
We appreciate it.
Awesome.
And one more thing. You still have time to win a 8 sleep for your bed. If you go to Instagram right now, this is Christmas Eve right now, you can request
Christmas.
to win.
Oh, yeah.
Merry
We'll give
Christmas.
one away.
8 sleep.
Oh, Merry Christmas.
There you go. The perfect gut-friendly clean protein snack is here. These are grass-fed meat sticks from Paleo Valley. They're delicious. They're not dry, and they're good for you. Go check them out. Go to paleovalley.com/mindpump. On that link, you'll get a discount. All right, back to the show.
Our first caller is Jennifer from California.
Hi, Jennifer.
How you doing, Jennifer?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good.
We're doing good. How can we help you?
In Southern California, and I'm sure all over the country, what happens with kids in sports is there's a lot of pressure for club sports. I have 3 kids myself, and thankfully they love playing sports. And my 2 boys are both in club sports. The issue is around here, the club coaches kind of punish kids when they do other sports. And when I say kids, I'm talking about elementary age and middle school. So I'm of the believer, having a training background, kids need to be cycling through different sports, and it's so important that they build other muscles, they build other skills. And I've told coaches before, in a polite way, explain to them how, we really should be promoting seasonal change up into a certain age. And even in high school, I'm like, what professional athlete only played one sport? Let's be real here, until you got to a certain age. I know it's a moneymaker, so I understand that these club coaches really do need to run a business. I respect that. Again, 2 of my kids are in club sports all year round. But I also change out their sports through season in different rec. Now, sometimes these kids are punished and they can't play a club game that weekend, or they're benched if they miss a certain practice for another seasonal sport. So my question really is, who are some of the top researchers who I can point these parents and these coaches to look at the research on why it's beneficial for young children to get a variety of sports for their overall training, and how that will make them a better athlete for their main sport as they get older.
Check out, we did a great interview with Chad Wesley Smith
from Juggernaut Training.
From Juggernaut Training. You'll love, in fact, the entire episode was training kids from birth all the way through high school and professional. And what does that path look? And you're spot on, by the way.
You're totally right.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
what it
so
should.
glad you're advocating for your kids like that, because it is. It's a scarcity mindset from these coaches, and they're just trying to, make sure that they're the priority. But honestly, what you're doing is perfect.
Jennifer, what the data shows clearly is up until they're much older. Let me give you a scenario. If you have two kids. One kid, let's say, is talented in soccer, and all they ever do is play soccer from 5 years old on. The other kid, also talented in soccer, but plays lots of different sports until they get up into college. The one that plays all the other different sports will actually do better at soccer. So, and that's what the data shows. It's very clear. Now, the reason for this is the neuroplasticity of the brain is so incredible at a young age that it's better for them to develop general body awareness and kinesthetic skills early on than it is to focus on one specific set of skills. That doesn't happen until much later. So even if you want your kid to be excellent at one specific sport, they're going to be better at that sport if they play a multitude of sports in those younger ages.
The language analogy is really good. So if you were just learning a language, if you wanted your kid to be able to speak 5 fluent languages, you having them do all those when they're younger is far better than them speaking English their entire life and then all of a sudden deciding you're going to focus just on the one. You know what I'm saying? So same concept.
Yeah.
In fact,
it's predictive variables. So here the thing is, these kids that are specializing early will be good in terms of the sport itself and the skill of the sport itself, but they're not going to be able to predict unforeseen variables, which these other kids will get exposed to. These variables have, quite an advantage long-term over these other specialized kids. So between that and then also, again, pattern overuse, and this tends to lead towards injury earlier in their careers, definitely a lot shorter. Something you should look into in terms of if you want to geek out on the science of it all, if you've read Supertraining by Mel Siff, you could get into all the Russian studies and everything else, proving all of this, and you can kind of present that to your coach.
Yeah, the challenge, Jennifer, is the anecdotes of the Williams sisters or Tiger Woods, and people, oh my God, they played that sport since they were really young. They did very well in spite of the fact that they did that. Now, they worked very hard. They were obviously genetically gifted. But again, the data shows very clearly, this isn't even a debate, that a child will do better at a specific sport if up until they're right around college age, they do a multitude of different sports. So again, to use the language analogy, learning 3 languages at a young age means you speak all 3 fluently without an accent when you're older, and you'll actually have a better grasp and understanding of your native language because you have a better grasp of language in general. So that's what happens. So what you're saying is absolutely right. These club, managers, they, again, scarcity mindset. They're also probably not up on the data,
they just don't know
and they're
that.
just trying to get as many kids to play their sports possible. But they're going against what the data is showing. So it isn't just anecdote. This is very clear. This is well-known knowledge in the coaching world with anybody who's up to date with all those studies.
Jennifer, it's episode 952. Episode 952, and he literally breaks it down to from this age to this age you should do up to 4 sports.
GPP,
from this age to this age you should do 3 sports, and not even even in high school you should be doing at least 2 sports. So he breaks it all the way down. We talk about the science. That's a really good episode.
Good. I definitely I require my children, because they're still young enough, I require them every season we're changing up a different sport, and if I feel like they are stressed out from a club sport, I sign them up for a rec sport of a totally different sport.
That's great.
Just to get them out in nature and having fun and meeting new people. So perfect. I'm going to check out all this. And my second question, my oldest is 13 and in 8th grade. And what's amazing is now he and his friends are super into lifting. They like to hit their biceps because they want the girls. But what's amazing is they've come to me now and they want to come to the gym with me.
Mhm.
So I have been listening to your advice. Obviously, I have a background also. And I tell them, we're not going to overdo it. You don't want to be in the gym too often because they're all different, faceted athletes. What would you guys recommend as the best program that I could possibly get them started on? I didn't know about like symmetry or a mobility type thing. I do want to work on, I'm teaching them basics on how to do a deadlift, the like main important muscle groups that I feel like all teenage kids really need to learn, that sets them up for success. So what program do you think is a good fit for these kids?
And they're currently playing and practicing sports as well, right?
Correct.
Yeah, MAPS 15. And we have a new program coming out that'll be even better. That follows that same methodology, but it's like 2 exercises a day.
What's good about Mass 15 is it's only 2 exercises and it's the core lifts. Like so, I think one of the best things you can do is what you're kind of doing already, which is teaching them the fundamentals around a squat. If you can get get your boys learning the deadlift and the squat, just practicing the form and the technique and get that down, that's going to be
we're going to give you our MAPS 15 performance, and it's
much more athletic minded,
much more functional type of exercise and movements. But yeah, it's simple. It's like you only have like 2 to 3 exercises, and that's really, you don't want to overwhelm them. And I think too, to have them sharpen the skill of the lifting portion of it, if you can get them to do that, they're already ahead of everybody else.
All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you.
You got it.
Yep.
Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, keep up the great work, Jennifer.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, great question. I'm so glad she's pushing it out, pushing
I love
back
it. This is my world right now.
against those coaches. And the language analogy is so good, Adam, because it is true that you learn all these languages fluently if you do them early on with neuroplasticity. But what you also get later on, and studies will show this, children that learn multiple languages at an early age have a better grasp of communication of their native language later because you have a greater overall understanding of communication, period. Because if you speak, French and German and Chinese, they all communicate just a bit differently. There's some words you can't necessarily translate. And so when you have a grasp of language more fully, you can actually communicate better even in one language, which is the same with movement. It's the same with anything. So you really want to take advantage of that neuroplasticity with your child with exercise. And it's a complete myth that, I want my kid to be good at football.
They're so much better
just play football
long term.
Totally.
You want to really set them up.
Our next caller is Irina from Canada.
Irina, how can we help you?
Hey guys, I'm such a huge fan. Thank you so much for choosing my question. So my question is, I'm wondering if you guys can speak to if or how weight training and muscle training principles can be applied to the face. Within the aesthetics community, it's generally regarded as BS, but I don't understand why. The face is made up of muscles which sag and atrophy over time. Wouldn't it be beneficial to find specific ways to isolate and train them to build back lost volume? And why aren't there more studies on this? And what do you guys know about building up cheeks, temples, eye sockets, and the connective tissues that keep skin attached to the bone?
Great question.
This is a great question.
You can definitely, any muscle can be developed. You can build any muscle. Okay. The key is, or the challenge is, how do I add resistance to some muscles?
Progressively.
Yeah. I mean, the muscles you can mostly work on in the face are the ones that open and close the jaw. Now, the rest of the muscles that surround the head, that raise the eyebrows and move the eyes and lift your ears, it'd be really tough to add resistance. I've never seen a machine or anything that's
reps all day.
That's able to do that. I think practicing those movements might be a good idea. Now, the problem with your community is many of the treatments that go to making someone look younger do the opposite, right? They aim to atrophy the muscles of the face with like Botox, for example. Like, let's give you some Botox and paralyze those muscles, which might take away wrinkles, but also atrophies the muscle. So I could see why they're against any kind of development. Now, as far as developing the jaw muscles, there is a product called Jawzrsize, which will add resistance. I mean, it will add resistance. Yeah. And some people do say it helps develop the muscles of the jaw. Now, the key and the problem with working the muscles that open and close the jaw is you want to do it in a very balanced way, because if there's any imbalance, you can cause joint issues in the jaw, and that can cause a lot of problems like TMJ and stuff like that. But you definitely can. You definitely can build up those muscles. And again, Jawzrsize is the only device I've seen that aims to do that. And it's like a ball that you chew on both sides.
I also think that the part of the reason why there's just not a lot of conversation around it is there's bigger rocks that are gonna make if you were doing Jawzrsize but then not hitting protein intake and eating a poor diet, and you had other things that that'll make an impact on how lean or toned your face looks more than doing Jawzrsize all day long. So I also think that where it falls in the category of the biggest things that will make the difference, aesthetically, it's not one of the biggest things. But if you were checking all the other boxes, good diet, training, do all that stuff, the Jawzrsize thing is only going to help. It's not going to be a bad thing so long as you do it balanced.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if you look at the world of commercial aesthetics, what we tend to value is youthful skin, and I think you know a lot about how to make skin more healthy and youthful, and also fat in the face. So you tend to get punished, not from anybody other than maybe what the cosmetic world would say, if you get too lean, especially as a woman. And developing muscles adds more of a chiseled look to the face, which men like. Women tend to shy away from. Women tend to want a fuller, rounder face.
They inject in the face.
Right. They tend to want make their face look like it's a little fatter, while the rest of them is really lean type of deal.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a
bit counter.
It's a bit counter to your space, But that being said, that's the only. I can't think of any other exercise device for the face.
No, I mean, masseters. I looked back into this a long time ago when we were looking at old time lifts and techniques and how they used to use chains and crazy stuff like biting down on these bits. But it's all connected to the full kinetic chain. So that's definitely a part of it if you're deadlifting or you're lifting heavy weights. Really gripping down with your jaw. But again, you can overdo that too. So like you said, TMJ and a lot of these things can happen if you do it too much intensity. But yeah, really that's the only feasible product that I could think of.
No, yeah, that's about it. We don't have a program for you, sorry.
Face crunches.
We don't have a face program.
Yeah.
But there's tons of people too, like in the online communities and stuff that have, created programs, developed programs where you're using your fingers as resistance and doing special movements and stuff like that. But then there's the aesthetics community that absolutely don't do that. That's actually going to do the opposite. There seems to be no consensus. That's exactly it. It's, Botox is really just the skin, and really it's that filler, it's that volume, it's that muscle.
Yes.
Why can't we treat the same way we treat the body is what I've been wondering.
You're right. I mean, I agree with you. Again, what's considered aesthetic for men and for women for the face is very different.
Yep.
For men, chiseled, some edges, developed, jawline and muscle in the face is considered attractive. For women, I just said a bunch of stuff a lot of women cringed over. For women, it's like paralyze the muscles of my face, add some fluid to make it look like it's a little fatter in the face, even though I'm walking around real lean. So difficult.
I mean, I believe it's been a while since I looked at his website, but I believe the Jawzrsize guy has before and after pictures of people's faces, so you could see some pictures of what some people that have done it religiously look like. And I mean, it'd be a fun experiment too. But yeah, it seems to be counter to what the industry is doing. So it's just not.
Well, I mean, literally, Botox literally is paralyzing those muscles.
Yeah. So they're either paralyzing or injecting fat into the face. So it's like the opposite of what the actual Jawzrsize would do.
Yeah,
right?
but from a health perspective, you could, if you do a lot of proper exercises of the face, I know you can solve a lot of issues for some people with neck pain, migraines, TMJ, but obviously must be done properly because it could also make those things worse.
What about connective tissue? Do you guys have an opinion on that? Because that's obviously present all over the body, and that is really another thing that counters the forces of gravity as folks age and kind of keeping stuff lifted.
Strength training in general. So this is good topic. So strength training sends a localized, acute muscle building, connective tissue building signal, but there is also a milder systemic signal that's sent, and we see this in lots of studies where one arm will be incapacitated, and then if you exercise the other arm, The incapacitated arm will actually lose less muscle because of this systemic muscle building effect. So what you see in the data, for example, in the skin, is you see this pro-collagen boosting, building, protein synthesis signal that goes to the skin from strength training. In fact, strength training is the best form of exercise for the skin.
Otherwise,
now,
you're looking at oxidative stress and all kinds of stuff that, it impedes on the skin.
Yeah, so if you look at like all forms of exercise done properly tend to improve the health of the skin, but strength training builds the skin. Other forms of exercises don't. So just general strength training will do that. And then in combination with a high protein diet, like if you're getting 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight, you're getting all the amino acids that are necessary for the collagen, development matrices and all of the connective tissue. So those two things right there, just strength train, eat a high protein diet, and then of course the stuff stay hydrated, make sure you get adequate fat, don't go too low in fat, that kind of stuff. But yeah, that'll do it for the whole body.
Perfect. Thank you. Take care.
You got it.
What was her profession? I didn't catch
esthetician.
Oh, it did say, I didn't see it.
Yeah. Or at least I'm guessing. She says within the aesthetics community.
Yeah, I never saw her what she did for a living. It didn't say that.
Oh yeah, that's
I know. I would assume that. I guess.
Yeah, you guys were assuming it. I'm like, how did they know that? I don't know. I'm like, I didn't hear her.
Oh, because I saw aesthetics in her question. I thought that she said esthetician. It's funny, dude. That space aims to atrophy the hell out of the muscles of your face.
Well, that's a good point to why they don't talk about this, because it's literally the opposite of what they're doing. Yeah, it's the opposite.
By the way, you guys have noticed this in extreme cases? You don't see this in normal people, but you'll see some bodybuilders who are super overdeveloped. They eat a lot of meat, and they're all in a lot of gear. The muscles on their head and face are you're like, what is that?
They develop muscles like on their head.
Yeah.
It's a trip.
And then again, side note with kids, the size of a child's jaw, the spacing, the development of their teeth is directly connected, because it's all malleable when they're young. Yeah. It's connected to how much hard things they chew as a kid.
Yeah.
So like give your kids like meat to chew on, and they're less likely to
work through it.
They won't need to get their wisdom teeth removed, or they won't need to get braces and stuff like that. It's really interesting.
You're right. I mean, the goal is to paralyze these muscles so they don't get the wrinkles and everything else. 'Cause they don't want them to contract. So it's like, it's totally.
No, they want a no muscle fat face is what they were looking for. By the way, we are running a sale this month on some workout programs. MAPS Aesthetic and MAPS Symmetry, both very popular programs, both 50% off. If you're interested, go to mapsfitnessproducts.com, but use the code December50 for the discount. All right, here comes the show.
Our next caller is Brian from California.
What's up, Brian?
What's happening, Brian?
How's it going, guys? Thanks for having me.
You got it, man. How can we help you?
I'll ask the question just so I don't throw any curveballs. I'll just read it off. So I've been a listener to the show for a few years, and because of you guys, I've transformed my physique. I feel great. I have a much better understanding of metabolism, how the human body works. So I can't thank you enough. I eat completely whole real foods diet, prioritize between 210 to 250 grams of protein a day. I switch my rep ranges every 3 weeks from mid to high and low reps, and it all feels great. I've seen steady improvement and all that, so no complaints there. But I've listened to a few books recently, and one of them was The Sports Gene, and I've learned a lot of cool things, but there was like a couple things that kind of threw me for a loop that I was wondering if you guys could clarify.
Sure.
So one of them was the book said that there's somewhat of a maximum to the amount of muscle the human body can hold naturally. They said it's about a 5-to-1 muscle to bone density ratio, and once you've maxed out, all the extra protein you're consuming to build muscle will just convert to fat storage. I think it's called like gluconeogenesis. Although I don't think I'm maxed out by any means. The concern was that eventually what I'm doing would just stop working. Like if I did kind of reach that maximum, I'd just start building fat, even though I'm eating a clean diet, like high in protein. Is that a thing? I mean, it's hard to wrap my head around that eating like good foods would still make you fat.
Yeah, it's such an ridiculous simplification. So okay, there's a maximum that the human body can hold in terms of muscle. I mean, that's true. There's gonna be a difference from.
Don't we have that calculator online? Don't we have that calculator online?
We do.
Yeah, I remember you guys. Yeah, you guys had that calculator too. I saw that.
By the way, that's based off of some of the most muscular people we've known in history, built muscle naturally. So there's a wide genetic variance and all that, et cetera, et cetera. But no, okay, here's the deal. extra protein doesn't get converted to fat unless it's extra calories. Your body gains body fat from eating more calories than you burn. That's all.
Yeah.
That's it. Bottom line.
Yeah.
So if your body's burning 3,000 calories a day and you're eating 4,000 calories a day, you're going to gain body fat. If you're eating 3,000 calories a day and you're burning 3,000 calories a day, even if you've maxed out in your muscle and that stuff, it doesn't matter. So it really comes from an extra calorie. Now, that being said, if we're going to go into the weeds a little bit, it seems that it's more difficult to gain body fat from protein than it is from carbohydrates and from fat. But at the end of the day, again, and that probably, again, has to do with, well, it definitely has to do with that protein probably burns more calories to utilize than carbohydrates and fats do.
I'm also trying to think of an example of a friend of ours that we have that you would say you think has reached their muscle potential naturally and is not like who.
That's hard to think.
Who do we know that's trained so consistently naturally for so long and is built probably at the tip of their peak? It takes a long time to reach
naturally. Or are we talking naturally?
Because if you're enhanced, then that you got synthetic.
That gives you a whole nother ceiling.
You go through the ceiling.
Yeah.
So
But and you can also change that what that limit looks like, right? Even if you go off because of the muscle memory. But it's an oversimplification. I think it's an interesting book. I'm familiar. There's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah.
But if you eat more protein than is necessary, but your calories are below what you're burning, you get leaner.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have. It's not the extra protein. It's the extra calories that get converted to body fat. Right. And now, again, that's an oversimplification because the calories you burn can change quite a bit depending on your metabolism, activity, etc.
Yeah, that was going to be kind of a follow-up question because I figured that's where you guys would go with it. But have you also read the Obesity Code or Good Calories, Bad Calories?
I'm familiar, but I have not read them.
So the whole concept there is that it's more of the type of food that you're eating that creates an insulin spike, and that the calories aren't as much of what matter. Because like if you overconsume on the calories, your body will just like burn it off as like body heat. But then that was also kind of confusing because I know like Adam as a competitor and stuff, he's talked about manipulating calories for different body compositions.
Yeah.
Right. But then it's like, then I don't know what to believe. Is it just like, okay, avoid hyperprocessed carbs and then you'll never have that? Or if you do eat healthy, but you're way over consuming on calories, can you still?
Oh yeah.
It's all important.
Yeah,
all of it is important. But at the end of the day, bottom line, and again, this can change quite a bit depending on your metabolism and your sleep and your activity and lots of factors. Just to be clear, mammalian metabolism is one of the most complicated things we've ever identified in the universe. Okay, so that being said, if you take in more calories than you burn, you'll gain weight. If you take in less calories than you burn, you'll lose weight or lose tissue. Your body has to get that energy from somewhere. That's just a law of physics. We've never observed that law of physics to be any different. That's why it's a law. Now, hormones play a role in your metabolism. They play a role in what kind of tissue you may burn or what kind of tissue you may gain. Mm-hmm. So eating more calories than you burn, but let's say your testosterone levels are low and cortisol is high, you're probably more likely to gain body fat than muscle and vice versa. But yeah, a lot of these books they tend to oversimplify or they try to paint a picture that counters what may be common knowledge as a way to sell their book, whatever. But there's truth in all of them. I don't want to say that. There's truth in a lot of them. But don't get too caught in the weeds because what's happening is you're going to get confused. What do I do? Like whole natural foods, strength train,
signal it with
get good
strength
sleep.
training.
Yeah, you're good.
That's a huge factor.
And one of the huge pluses, and you probably know this from your own experience of eating a whole food diet, is the beauty of that is it's even though it's possible to overconsume and put body fat on because you're just eating too many calories, it's much more difficult, right? It's easier to land where your body needs when you're eating these whole natural foods. It's kind of interesting.
Your satiety signals work.
Yeah, your satiety signals work. You're full, you're good, and when you're really hungry, you eat a little bit more because your body probably needed it. And then when you start adding in processed foods, that's where this stuff gets really difficult, which is all why we've since day one have always spoke out on the kind of the IIFYM community and just, as long as it fits your macros. Like, yeah, okay, that's right. If it fits your macros, you can stay lean and do processed food. Problem is that makes it very difficult for the average person.
You're gonna feel like shit.
Yeah, so you're on the right track, obviously.
Well, then it's easier to like way overconsume calories and underconsume nutrients.
That's
with
right.
those types of foods.
That's right.
Especially the calories part.
Makes sense.
They're designed to make you overeat. That's it. And they're really good at it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, hey, thank you guys again. Like I said, all this stuff I've learned from you guys, and it's made a huge difference in my life. So I spread the word about Mind Pump all the time. Appreciate you guys.
You got it, man. Thanks
Appreciate
for
it,
calling
man.
in.
Right on.
There's two reasons why people are so confused. One is the hype, diet, sales, baloney.
Yes.
Then there's the science side that takes stuff that's really not important for the average person to understand.
Mechanisms that are not even that.
It just confuses the hell out of people. And then it starts this crazy debate. Calories don't matter. And the other side's like, well, your insulin doesn't matter. I know they both matter, but you've just confused everybody.
Yeah.
And now people are doing the wrong stuff. It's
all part of
actually
the pie.
Totally.
Our next caller is Colin from Kansas.
What's up, Colin?
What's happening?
How can we help you?
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
man.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity to be on today. This is awesome. I really appreciate the chance here. I sent in a question around programming and nutrition for the end of the year here, and I'll read it off for you guys. I've been running powerlift and eating here through the winter with a focus on testing 1-rep maxes here at the end of the year. Following this program, I have two things I'd like to accomplish. One of them is to run Symmetry as a deload correctional program on the backside of the lifting I've been doing. And I'd also like to go into the new year and run a light cut on the backside of this bulk that I've kind of been working through. My question is whether or not it's worth trying to do both at the same time. Obviously, there my fear would be not benefiting from Symmetry because I'm not giving myself enough calories for the adaptation. And so I'd love your guys' opinion on whether or not I should do something like maintain and extend that bulk through something like Symmetry, or if perhaps you think they'd be okay to run together.
Good question.
No, I think you could do a cut. I wouldn't make it too aggressive.
That's exactly right. That's if you just hang around like a maintenance to a little bit of a deficit, like you'll have enough of a time that you're in somewhat of a surplus that you'll still get.
By the way, what you're looking for, based off what you said, right? When you follow Symmetry, it's not to hit PRs, but rather to use it in a correctional capacity, right? To balance you out unilaterally, so that you can go back to powerlifting and hit new PRs. So a lot of that is central nervous system adaptation. Now, I'm not going to say that's not affected by calories, but it's not like building muscle. So you can definitely strengthen and change central nervous system adaptations, how your muscles fire together, and still be in a cut. You can learn new skills and be in a cut, is what I'm trying to say. So it's totally fine.
I still agree though that I would do a slight cut though. I wouldn't be aggressive.
No, too aggressive, and then
There's a part in my series where I talk about this in the YouTube series that I just did, where it's just where I was explaining that in a 30-day, when you zoom out, you have times where like how do we sometimes build muscle and lose body fat? Well, it's not that you're doing it at the exact same time. It's that there's periods of time in that week where my body's tipping over into anabolic because it's got a little bit high on calories, and other times where it's really low, then it's catabolic. And as long as you're hovering around maintenance to a slight deficit, you're going to have periods of time like that. So that would probably be, I think, the best strategy, where you would just kind of slowly lean out while you do it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was my biggest question until you kind of touched on it there, which was, I've heard you guys talk a lot about how for the adaptation that you're seeking, it's so important to hit your protein, your calories. And that nuance, I think, is maybe where I was unclear of whether or not this adaptation process needs all the same stuff when it's not necessarily muscle, but like you said, it's kind of systemic for like the joints and the shoulders and things.
That's right.
Yep. Good question.
You got
okay.
it, man.
And then I guess real quick out of that, I would want to know what you guys would do if you were, training me. Quick maintenance to light cut for something like a Symmetry, jumping into anabolic after. Does it make more sense than to probably go back into a slight surplus is like being the next window, or would you jump into an even deeper cut with a different style of a program before another bulk? What would your opinion
if your
there?
goal is to hit PRs, I would go back into a bulk.
Yeah, it really depends on that. Like how you, after we get through Symmetry in the slight deficit, if you were my client, it would really be about, how do you feel? Are you as lean as you wanted to be? Did you want to get a little bit leaner? If we wanted to get a little bit leaner, we just roll into the next program doing kind of the same thing where we have this slight, and you'll just keep leaning out. If you're like, I'm putting, I care, let's go get those PRs. I want to see, then I'm going to throw the calories up. So it really depends on how you feel after you go through Symmetry, and if you're happy with your leanness, if you now are wanting to get back to getting after the PRs, like, yeah, then we're going to kick calories back up because that's obviously going to serve you to hitting the numbers.
Okay. Yeah, I think that sounds good.
You got it.
I'll run it.
Thanks,
All right,
man.
Okay. Thank you, guys. You rock. Thanks for this opportunity.
You got it, brother.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of correctional. I mean, okay, yes, correctional exercise will build muscle as well, but a lot of it is really just how
CNS.
muscles fire and stabilize, how you're able to control them.
Building good recruitment patterns.
And that's just skill. That's just literally teaching your body a new skill. And it's less important to be in a bulk to do that than it would be to add actual contractile tissue, to add actual muscle mass. So correctional exercise can definitely be done very effectively through a mild cut and definitely.
And you said it well, too. It's not that being in a surplus wouldn't be a benefit. It would obviously be beneficial, and because you could technically have some sort of imbalance muscle-wise. But it's you can do it still in a deficit because of what we're talking about. So
totally. All right, I know you liked that episode. If you did, check this one out. 30% body fat for men. This is way too high. This is actually a bit high for women as well. So in today's episode, we're talking about how you can go from 30 to 10. What is 10% body fat? This is when you have a visible six-pack. Can you go from 30 to 10%? Yes, it's possible, but not if you guess along the way. So we're going to talk about how you can do that in today's episode.
now there's a huge range, right, of like body types.
Yes.
Some people can run a little bit heavier or a little bit higher body.